Cunningham, handoff Johnson, into a triple team, out to Clark, 3 more!
Carolina.
Clark fire away and hits a 3!
Just 3 days earlier, Caitlin Clark didn't even look fully comfortable moving around the court. Back stiffness had forced her to sit out the entire game against Portland, raising serious concerns about her condition. Then, ahead of Indiana's matchup with Golden State, Stephanie White was asked the question everyone wanted answered. How is Caitlin Clark's back?
Is she injured? I guess is a fair question. Is she injured? Or is it something other?
Stephanie White responded with a look that immediately raised more questions than answers. The expression on her face suggested a level of uncertainty, and her response felt carefully measured without revealing much of anything. It was the kind of answer that sounds informative on the surface, but leaves everyone wondering what is actually going on. Her words were vague, her explanation was limited, and her body language gave the impression that either she didn't have the full picture or simply wasn't ready to share it.
Is she injured? I guess is a fair question. Is she injured? Or is it something other than an injury?
Her back is sore.
Then came game night, and Caitlin Clark stepped onto the court. Golden State quickly built an early 8-point advantage, appearing ready to take control. But what happened next completely changed the tone of the game. Clark responded with a breathtaking display that turned into one of the most dominant individual performances the WNBA has seen during the 2026 season.
All doing it all on that defensive possession. Clark. From another stratosphere!
Clark finished the night with 22 points, 9 assists, and 4 three-pointers. But those numbers only tell part of the story. The game also featured a technical foul, a flagrant foul, and a stunning 29-17 third-quarter surge that completely flipped the matchup. By the time Golden State realized what was happening, the momentum had already shifted and the game was slipping out of their hands.
Left with her left hand.
Clark just spins away from Hayes, fades, fires and hits.
What a tough two.
The Indiana Fever walked away with a 90-82 victory, and Caitlin Clark delivered a statement performance in the process. By the final buzzer, everyone inside the arena and every team paying attention around the league had been reminded exactly why she remains one of the most dangerous and game-changing players in the WNBA.
To heat up, Clark on the drive, draws the foul, banks it home, and one for Caitlin.
Before we break down what happened on the court, we need to start with Stephanie White's pre-game media appearance, because that moment ended up providing important context for everything that unfolded afterward.
Your reaction to getting a warning from the league as a team for the injury report involving Caitlin? Medical questions, we can defer that to the medical team. We, to my knowledge, don't have access to talk to them.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't disclose anything that's not already disclosed by our medical team, by our franchise.
Ahead of the game, a reporter asked Stephanie White a straightforward question about Caitlin Clark's condition. How was she feeling? What kind of performance could fans expect given the recent concerns about her back? White's response offered very little clarity. She mentioned that the team was continuing to evaluate the situation, emphasized the importance of following the guidance of the medical staff, and spoke about taking a careful approach. But she never clearly stated that Clark was fully healthy, nor did she suggest that Clark would be dealing with significant limitations. Instead, the answer left plenty of room for interpretation. It felt like an intentional effort to keep Clark's status uncertain, and White's overall demeanor only added to the speculation. The way she delivered her response quickly became a talking point before tip-off, because it gave the impression that there was still some level of concern behind the scenes. That's what made Clark's performance later that night stand out even more. After all the questions surrounding her health, she stepped onto the court and delivered a performance that looked nothing like someone dealing with physical limitations.
Well, exactly what happened there as Clark bounces inside for Boston.
Good patience.
Whatever the exact situation with her back was, whether she was fully recovered, still managing discomfort, or simply pushing through on pure competitiveness, she played like someone who had been held back for too long and was finally let loose. There was no easing in, no minutes restriction, no cautious approach. Just Caitlin Clark in full attack mode against a Golden State team that arrived believing they had a real chance to steal a win on the road.
Clark, oh, beautiful find, side for Cunningham, and one.
They didn't really have a realistic shot, they just hadn't realized it yet. The first quarter played out as a feeling out process. Indiana edged it 19-18, just a single point separating the two teams, with nothing on the scoreboard hinting at what was about to unfold. From the opening possession, Caitlin Clark was already in rhythm, locked into a controlled, reactive approach. She wasn't forcing shots or trying to prove anything about her back. She was simply playing basketball, pushing the tempo in transition, making the right reads, and distributing the ball cleanly. She looked completely natural for someone who had just missed time due to injury concerns. On the other side, Golden State held their own early. They moved the ball well, found soft spots in Indiana's defense, and stayed within striking distance in a way that suggested they had arrived with a clear game plan. Tiffany Hayes was active from the start, and the Valkyries' defense made Clark earn everything. No easy looks, no rhythm threes, nothing close to the efficiency she had shown in recent outings. After one quarter, it was still a one-point game. Everything was wide open, nothing decided. Then came the second quarter, and that's where things started to shift in a serious way for Indiana, and where Clark's return narrative briefly risked turning into something very different.
Starting a game out relatively fast, and then in the second quarter, we give up a lead. Caitlin Clark and the Fever showed out in the third quarter with a 29-17 showing. The big three showed up. Aaliyah Boston, 20 points on 8 of 15, 16 boards, 3 blocks.
Golden State took the second quarter 26-18, and that's where the tone of the game really started to shift. The Valkyries bench came alive in a major way. Caitlin Chen checked in and immediately provided a spark, shooting at an efficient 64% from the field. Tiffany Hayes continued to find her rhythm, getting to her spots and keeping Indiana's defense under constant pressure. By the end of the night, Golden State's second unit had piled up 43 bench points, an important number that showed just how much their depth was impacting the game, while Indiana struggled to contain their rotation scoring. By midway through the second quarter, Golden State had built its largest lead of the night at 8 points. The energy inside Gainbridge, which had been buzzing for Caitlin Clark's return, started to fade. Indiana looked out of sync. Defensive rotations were late, offensive possessions lacked flow, and the clean shot creation they had enjoyed in recent wins simply wasn't there. Clark was on the floor in stretches working through it. The reads were still sharp, the passes were there, but Golden State's defensive coverages forced her to expend far more energy for every inch of space. And when Indiana needed someone to break that defensive pressure, nobody managed to do it. At halftime, Golden State still held the lead, and the entire feel of the game had changed. A healthy Caitlin Clark returning from a back injury, and her team was trailing at the break to a roster that entered the season viewed as one of the league's weaker groups. Naturally, questions started to surface. Concerns followed. Then the third quarter began, and everything flipped. Indiana came out of a halftime and immediately seized control with a 29-17 third quarter explosion. From the opening possession, Clark's body language told the story. She wasn't easing in anymore. She was attacking. She pushed the tempo right away, racing the ball up the floor before Golden State could get set, and finishing in transition to ignite the building. Those early fast break points set the tone. 6 fast break points on the night, and all of them came in that decisive third quarter stretch when Indiana needed momentum most. Then the perimeter game opened up. Clark drilled her first 3 of the quarter with a defender closing late, the kind of shot that signals she's fully locked in and operating at another level. The crowd erupted, and Golden State quickly burned a timeout to regroup. It didn't change anything. On the very next meaningful possession, Clark drove hard downhill, absorbed contact, and finished at the line with complete composure. She knocked down the free throws, Golden State missed on the other end, and Clark was already pushing the pace again before the rebound was secured. Then came one of the defining sequences of her night. Clark picked up a technical foul. The exact details can be debated, whether the call was justified, whether frustration with contact played a role, or whether the official escalated too quickly. But what happened afterward cannot be debated at all. Clark didn't disengage. She didn't spiral. She immediately reset, got back into position, and made the next right read as if the moment had never shaken her at all. That's her competitive identity in its clearest form. Something happens, she processes it, and it's gone. Soon after, she also drew a flagrant foul situation in the same quarter. 2 official rulings against her in a short span, moments that often derail players emotionally, but Clark stayed locked in and continued to dictate the game. That intensity is exactly what fueled fueled Indiana's 29-point third quarter. One side of that fire showed up in the box score, the other showed up in control of the game, and the two cannot be separated. Elia Boston benefited directly from the attention Clark was drawing, with Golden State collapsing toward the ball and overhelping on Clark's drives and threes. Boston found herself with clean looks inside and multiple second chance opportunities. She capitalized, finishing possessions in the paint while the defense scrambled late. The third quarter became a two-person rhythm, Clark creating chaos, Boston finishing the results. Golden State meanwhile managed just 17 points in the period. 17. A team that put up 26 in the second quarter was held to 17 once Clark and Indiana completely shifted the momentum. After 3 quarters, Indiana was in control, and the game felt decided. The fourth quarter confirmed it. Indiana closed with a 24-21 final frame, never needing to fully extend themselves because the foundation had already been laid. Clark shifted into facilitator mode, Boston controlled the glass, and Kelsey Mitchell handled her role in the most efficient way possible. Mitchell's fourth quarter came almost entirely from the free throw line, 11 for 11 on the night from the stripe, flawless under pressure. While her field goal shooting finished 4 for 10, she compensated by attacking contact, drawing fouls, and converting every opportunity. 5 fouls drawn, every free throw made, 19 total points built on discipline and pressure rather than volume. On the other side, Veronica Burton and Tiffany Hayes kept competing until the final buzzer. Burton finished with 17 points and drew 6 fouls of her own, while Hayes added 19 points on 7 of 13 shooting. But Golden State's starters collectively shot just 37% from the field, and that level of inefficiency made it impossible to overcome Indiana's top-end talent and third quarter explosion. When it was all said and done, the Indiana Fever closed it out. Final score, Indiana 90, Golden State 82.
May have been the night that Caitlin Clark put the league on notice. But the Fever got the win, and Caitlin Clark, once again, pretty much put this team on her back and rode it to victory.
22 points on the night, 7 of 15 from the field, sitting at 47%, 4 of 9 from 3, a strong 44%, 4 of 5 at the free throw line, and then the rest of the line that tells the full story. 9 assists, 8 fouls drawn, 6 fast break points on just 2 attempts, 1 technical foul, 1 flagrant foul. But the number that stands out most right now is that 4 of 9 from deep, because that trend is no longer a one-off. This is now 3 straight games of high-level three-point shooting from Caitlin Clark after early season struggles from beyond the arc. When she was hovering around 20% from deep, defenses across the league adjusted instantly, dropping coverage, packing the paint, and daring her to prove she could hurt them from distance. That strategy, it doesn't work anymore. Shooting 44% from 3 on 9 attempts in a game she was almost questionable to play due to a back issue is exactly the kind of performance that forces every scouting report in the league to be rewritten. Then there's the passing. 9 assists in this game, extending a stretch that is quietly redefining her identity as a player. This is no longer just a scorer who can pass. This is a true floor general operating at a pace defenses simply cannot keep up with. Across her last 2 games combined, she now has 22 assists, and what makes it more dangerous is not just the passing volume, it's the timing. Teammates aren't just getting open when they cut, they're open before the cut is even fully developed, because Clark has already processed the movement and delivered the ball in advance. The one blemish on the stat sheet is the 6 turnovers, and that cannot be ignored. The pace she plays at, the instinctive reads, the constant pressure she puts on defenses, those things naturally come with risk, but against a team like the New York Liberty,